Hello everybody! It's been a while. As you can see, I'm a mess. It's been a while since I've done a live video, and what better time than when I'm at my messiest, just hanging out at home. Kitty's here with me as well. Yeah. How's everybody doing? How is the world doing? How are all of y'all doing? I imagine there's probably not a lot of people here at all. But, you know, that's okay, because I don't even really know why I do this, or why anybody really does this, but I wanted to say hi. It's been a while since we've talked and said hello. I'm just realizing now how absolutely messy I look right now, but that's okay. I am just editing my books still. There's still so much that has to go. But, you know, I figured I would do this because it's been a while since I've actually updated anybody on progress. I mean, I update, it's hard to say, what should and shouldn't be posted in terms of, updates when it comes to writing and stuff, because, social media is kind of a weird thing, because I often have this, debate with myself of, what do we post and what do we not post, you know? I feel like a lot of times with social media, posts come from a very selfish place, but, I mean, not always, but, a lot of times I feel like social media is a means of, instant gratification, which is not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, we want our voices to be heard. We want people to see that we're doing well. We want people to say hello. We want people to, you know, talk with us. And I mean, especially now, with quarantine and stuff, it's been a really useful tool in keeping track of people and seeing what everybody's up to. But something that I've learned with writing, as opposed to artwork, for example, I can make artwork pretty quickly, depending on what it is and whatnot, and you post it and there's an immediate feedback that comes back when you create a drawing or something. Sorry if I'm kind of twitchy and stuff. I've been having a lot of coffee this morning and lack of sleep and coffee last night, and probably enough coffee to give me a heart attack, but you know, this is how we live, and if I die, I will die as I lived, drinking lots of coffee. But with writing, it's not as immediate it's not an immediate feedback, because you don't want people to read what you've written because you don't want there to be spoilers, or, you know, a lot of professional people that I have looked to suggest you shouldn't share any of your writing at all. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I think that to some degree we should share what we're writing. We should share parts of what we're writing, almost like a trailer, I guess. But it's hard to know really what we should... Hello, Colton. How are you, my friend? It's good to see you. It's hard to know, exactly what we should share. And that's the thing, too, is it going to make people less interested in the writing that you do? Is it going to make people less interested in what you're doing? Or, will it change how people view you? And I'm always torn between, should I share things and share pictures and share experiences? Is it important to share that stuff, or are people not going to care that much? But yeah, hello Giacomo, thank you for joining. I'm trying to collect my thoughts here, sorry. You know, I know that people are never gonna know what you're doing unless you talk about it, so unless I talk and I say, hey guys, I'm writing a book, hey guys, I'm doing this is my process, people are never going to know. And that's the thing too, is like, I think people see things in the short term. Like, even myself, like, I see what I share and what I post as short-term things, but I think when you're doing a long-term project, like writing a series or writing a book, it's important to remember, like that point of view shift, for instance. No, I think it's important for people to talk about, like, what you're doing and share, like, what you're doing or your point of view, because other people's points of views are very important, honestly. Like, for instance, why am I even here? Why am I even talking about this? Why is this even important? It probably isn't, in the grand scheme of things. I guess I often grapple with, like, I didn't have a writing degree. I didn't have, any experience or any training when it comes to writing. But I have, ever since I was young, I've wanted to tell stories. Like, I've had ideas, I've had an urge and an inkling to, like, share things like art and stories, because it makes me happy. It makes me feel passionate about something. And I don't feel passionate about a lot of, well, that's not necessarily true. I don't feel passionate about a lot of things that I have control over. So, for example, I can feel very passionate about certain political views or certain things that are happening in the world, but feel quite powerless most of the time to actually do something about it. Versus being passionate about art or writing, I have control over this. Like, I have the ability to make my dreams and my ideas come true, but only if I'm willing to put in the work for it. So, a lot of what propels me forward and keeps me motivated is the fact that, especially when you see it unfolding in front of you, like I have here, like, I have this draft, and when I first printed it out, I was like, holy cow, that's a lot of writing. That's when it kind of started to sink in a little bit more of, like, yeah, you can do this. Like, it can be a real thing if you want it to be. If you go to the copying center down at campus and you print it out, it can be a real thing. But yes, anyway, when it comes to posting about writing, like, sometimes I'm like, am I just being silly by posting progress stuff all the time? And honestly, not necessarily. I think the small victories all start to add up into something bigger. So, I'm very tired right now, so these are probably just a conglomeration of thoughts that I'm having right now. But I think it's important for anybody out there who's writing to remember that you're not necessarily in a bubble if you don't want to be in a bubble. Like, I post, so, to myself, I post these, like, self-motivational things on the cover of my book where I write a message to myself every time I reach a milestone. And it's just a reminder to myself that I'm making progress and that what I'm doing is good and what I'm doing is worth it. And a lot of times that's a hard thing to deal with when you're working on any sort of project, is keeping motivated, especially in something that takes literal years to complete. So I am looking at this right now and I'm like, wow, I only have about a little over 100 pages left to edit. And I know from someone who's already published before, their standpoint, I'm probably nowhere near where I want to be or my goal. But from the perspective of someone who has never published before, has no experience having published before, I'm almost surreally far in my goals of, like, what I want to, of where I want to be. Having seen just the spark of the ideas become words on a page, and then those words becoming more words, and then those ideas becoming more ideas until it becomes a full story, and then because the thing is like, prior to me even printing out this stupid thing, I've refined these chapters multiple times. So it's like, I've had to go through, and I have to tell you guys, my writing background is that I started writing as a kid, and I would just write these stories, and I would just write these books, like, full-on books, and they were awful. They were terrible. Like, it was like, what are you, like, when I go back and I read some of the things that still exist, I'm like, God, this is embarrassing, but it was necessary to come to where I am now. To being able to look at it, and also reading a lot of books as well, to getting a discerning eye and saying, oh, this is what is good, this is what works in writing, and this is what doesn't work. So, it's just the process of distilling that down even further until it becomes something that other people will like to consume or enjoy. You said, I love that. Remember, you're closer to the beginning of the end. May I have to... Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, when it comes to, like, reminders of progress, so this applies to, like, you know, art or writing of any capacity. Even in my early chapters where I'm writing things down in a notebook, I still had those reminders for myself. Like, I still had little things all over the place. It was like, oh my gosh, you got 2 chapters done! Oh, you're so good at what you're doing! And it's like, you know, like, maybe it wasn't impressive at all in any capacity, but it still was enough to encourage myself to keep going, even though I barely had scratched the surface of what I'm doing. So, in that sort of sense, I can kind of feel proud of myself of, like, you know, I didn't get, because I've gotten disheartened many times. I've cried many, many times over the course of writing. And the thing is, like, I finished this book, and I'm almost done with the second book. So, and I still haven't even published the first book. I haven't even gotten close to publishing the first book. But, you know, I've gotten disheartened more times than I can even count, more times than I can even say. I spent a lot of nights crying. Like, I spent a lot of time talking to my loved ones and my family and my friends, just sobbing, because I felt at different times during this process that this is never gonna work. My life's gonna amount to nothing, and I'm gonna die and be sad and having never accomplished anything. But that's not true. That's only true if you let it be true. And so the thing is, like, even if I end up publishing all of these things and, like, 2 people buy the book or 2 people download the book or whatever, it still means that I was able to accomplish what I set out to accomplish. And so I get a lot of comfort in the fact that, you know, maybe it becomes something great, or maybe it becomes a goal that I set out to accomplish. So, I mean, as long as I get it done, I'm not letting myself down, because I've already made it thus far. I've literally worked on this thing for countless hours over the years, and I haven't let the circumstances or the fact that I feel insufficient most of the time get me down, and I haven't let it stop me from trying to accomplish the things that I want to accomplish. That being said, there's still quite a bit of work that needs to be done, so once I get this portion of the work done, so especially in the early chapters, so I've rewritten these chapters several times, but even still, like, there's portions where, let me find a good example, where I just have basically rewritten everything. Like, the whole page is just completely exited out. Like, this page here, it's just like, oh yeah, like, that's just all of it, basically everything. Or, like, you know, there's some pages, this is a better example, where, like, I've literally crossed out almost everything and rewritten over the top of everything, because, you know, Giacomo says, I have a friend that became an agent, by the way. I'll send you a direct message to her with her criteria. Thank you. I appreciate that. That being said, you know, since I've got you here and I've got your attention, I'm still debating on how to publish this, how I want to publish this, whether I want to do self-publishing or through publishing company or anything like that. Because it can be really overwhelming at times, figuring out like how exactly you want to do things. And the thing is like, I personally prefer physical copies of books, though I do have a lot of digital books that I've read or that I'm reading currently, you know, that I just read on my phone while I'm laying in bed. But I don't know. I want to know what you guys think. What do you prefer? What is a must-have? Like, is it a must-have that you have a paperback copy of a book? Is it a must-have that you have a hardcover copy of a book? Is it a must-have that you have a digital copy or an audiobook file of a book? Like, what is... maybe I should do this as a poll or something, or just read more forums on people who are experienced in what they've gone through. But what do you guys prefer? All two of you who are here. Anyway, there's just thoughts. It's also, like I said, it's been a long time since I've talked about writing and talked about, you know, books in general. And it can be kind of scary, because it's like I said, literally years of work has gone into this series, and there's many, many more years to come. But it can be a scary thought to think that, like, because obviously I don't think books will ever be dead. I don't think the art of reading or people's love of books will ever be dead. But it can be kind of a scary thought at times that, oh, if you don't act, you know, if you don't act fast enough or you aren't technologically savvy enough, you'll be left behind. You prefer paper, but if digital and well-made audiobooks, okay. Because I've considered hiring somebody or hiring people to read the audiobook version of it. But I'm still a little ways from that, obviously. At the very least, I'd like to go with an option that allows both digital and paperback copies. But yeah, I mean, I didn't think it would ever go away, Giacomo. I just, you know, I'm talking more like personal internal fears. Because, you know, if I were to, you know, go off on personal internal fears when it comes to a lot of things in my life, it would be that I'm mildly dyslexic, so it can be kind of hard sometimes. I have to read very slow, I have to edit slowly, I have to be meticulous, because if I'm not, I will miss something. As well as, like, you know, like I said in the beginning, I'm not trained in writing. I, you know, did not major in writing. I majored in art and public administration and geography. So, because I didn't think, it's more like, writing is something I've always wanted to do, but I doubted my capacity to be able to do it for the longest time, until I said, fuck it, I'm doing it, so who cares, basically. So yeah, but I appreciate that you're here, Giacomo. Thank you for, you know, saying things in the comments and, like, you know, having a discussion here with me about this. But I'll have to message you and ask you about some things. It's just, you know, that's the thing too, is, like, I've talked to a lot of people and read a lot of forums and things about, like, people who have experiences in, the field. And there's a lot of wildly differing opinions about how to write, how to edit, how to market, how to publish, how to X, Y, and Z. And that's the thing, is, like, I love what I've created, and I just kind of want to share it with people, and that's, you know, simply boiled down my goal with writing and doing this, because if I can think of any types of career paths that I would like to take, I'd have to say they'd have to be something geared towards creative output, you know, which is very vague, but like writing skills or being able to create things hands-on. So, anyway, yeah, I'm over halfway done editing the book. This week and next week, I have to work on Monday, but the majority of this week and next week, I will be trying to rigorously edit around, like, you know, my streaming schedule, all that other stuff that I have to do. So, hopefully, my goal was when the pandemic happened that I would get all of the editing done. But life stuff happens, and I moved, and, you know, things get busy, life gets busy. Life doesn't care about your plans sometimes, but I am proud of the progress that I've made. Happy with how far we've come. So, yeah, it's not so bad. Anyway, I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic week so far. Sorry if this didn't make a lot of sense, or, you know, it's just kind of silly, but, no, I have to go back to work soon, but I know that sometimes I'm not happy about, like, where I'm at when it comes to things like work. I was looking really rigorously for a new job when I came back to Montana, and, you know, at this point, I mean, I had, like, lots and lots of interviews, lots of things, but, like, you know, still hasn't panned out, but I'm getting good management experience. You know, I'm able to support myself, and that makes me happy. And, you know, I've been seeing, like, live streams growing and stuff, which is awesome. I know that, like, someday I might have some semblance of the type of life and career and everything that I'd like to have, but it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of hard work. It takes patience. It takes a lot of sleepless nights, but hopefully someday I can get there, and if I don't get there, hopefully I can get to somewhere better than I am, you know, and that's the thing, you know, you can't let the failures of things that don't work out the way you want them to slow you down. You just have to keep, you know, I like to think of being like water or wind. You have to just move around the things that get in your way and stop you from doing the things that you want to do. So, anyway, I'm gonna get back to editing. Thank you, Giacomo. I appreciate that. It was nice and lovely to hear from you as well. That you are taking care, that you're, you know, doing well, being happy, being healthy. And I'll talk to you sometime soon. Everybody out there, have a fantastic rest of your week. I appreciate you guys. And, yeah, hopefully this wasn't too boring. Bye!